Hey guys, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to Union Cross. This is going to be an early spotlight video on the new medal being Saix Kai, or once it comes out in the global version, it's going to be Saix Plus. Basically, this medal is something else. It's different. It's definitely not the broken medal I thought it was going to be. It definitely is strong, but there's a lot of things that we have to consider when we look at a medal like this, and especially because of the skill that it comes with and the issue it has with debuffing us. So, without further ado, we've got Saix Plus, or Saix Kai. It's for 3 turns, so that's the first big thing you guys can see right away, that its buffs and debuffs last for 3 turns. So right away that screams PvP. You're like, whoa, PvP then. Every turn, if the enemy doesn't take care of my buffs, I pretty much can get away with having buffs for every single turn. Yeah, that's amazing. Let's go down the line. So first he buffs reverse strength by 7 tiers, power strength by 7 tiers, and general strength by 7 tiers. So he has all the buffs you need for him and any other power medal or reverse medal in the game. So PvE wise, we're gonna look at him at PvE first. So for that right there, guys, for anyone that's new and you don't have a ×7 general buffer, you can use this guy and then use anything else that lowers general defense, and you are pretty much set on a power setup and reverse setup. Even without the power being there, you still have the reverse and ×7 general. So that's pretty awesome. He is a tier 8. He's random attack, which meaning if you're facing a single enemy, it doesn't really matter. But if you're facing a group, that's going to hit each individual enemy by itself randomly. It's not going to have an AoE effect or a certain order. It can hit one guy constantly or hit everyone one time each, depending how many enemies there is. He only deals 3 hits, so that's not too bad. It's not going to go somewhere crazy. But the issue is that he's got ×2 attribute defense down. So for 3 turns, you're going to have attribute defense down by ×2. And if you're doing raid bosses, if you're doing enemies that take multiple turns and you need to survive, you're debuffing yourself the entire time. Now, that's not a big concern, I would say, unless you're trying to turtle and he's your damage dealer, then that's definitely going to affect your turtling setup. But just in straight up damage, he's got enough damage, as you guys can see here, a 24.09 just as a 6-star. So that's actually pretty incredible. 24.09 is huge as a 6-star. So that means a 7-star version is going to be 50.03. We're going to get there in a second. Don't worry. I know you guys will be like, well, that's not possible. So 6-star 24 multiplier is really incredible, but compared to some 7-stars we have right now, not that incredible. But back to what he does. So besides buffing, he does that debuff for 3 turns. In PvE, that's not a big issue, besides you trying to turtle, like I said. So straight up, he's just an amazing medal for what he does. 3 turns buffs, and then he's got this skill that he comes with that is poison 2, so it does more damage, about 1,000,000 damage, I believe, in PvP, and it has 100% proc rate. So like Zexian that we just got that had the paralysis, 100% paralysis proc rate at enemies level 1999 or below. This is the poison version. So I think it's pretty interesting because I'm going to talk about that when we come to the PvP side of this medal. For PvE wise, you do have 100% poison proc rate. In PvE, it's not that much of a big deal. It could help you pass a couple places because that is a skill that if you activate it or swipe or tap, it doesn't matter what you do, that skill will activate. So it can get you out of some certain situations like Proud Mode. If you just need to swipe and tap enemies, it'll do that much damage to them depending on the enemy. So having that guaranteed damage in Proud Mode is pretty amazing as well. But in PvE wise, just everything about him is great. You do need an attack boost max SP gauge on him because he costs 6 gauges. Unless you have one of the new Kairis or Xions and they have extra attack, then you don't need to worry about that because by the time you come to your next setup, you'll restore all the gauges that you need. But for everyone else, you are going to have to put an attack boost max with SP gauge 1, 2, or 3, or 0. Just don't let it sit at that 6. That 6 is pretty heavy costing. If you do want to copy this medal in PvE wise, totally fine. You can use your copycat medals like Xion and Riku to copy forward and backwards on the Dark Gnaw and have all that damage. The only thing is you're stacking this debuff, so you're gonna have max defense down for attributes for 3 turns every turn. It's gonna go to ×7 by the 2nd turn, so you got to be careful of that when you're copying him twice in PvE. So don't mix him with the turtle setup. Use him for a strategy of just pure damage and killing. But it's not all bad with that attribute defense down, because we do have medals like Zexian Plus that just just came out last month that could counteract that. So he can lower it, whereas Zexion will buff it, so it goes back to neutral. If you have extra attack on Zexion plus, then you basically can still have 2 attribute defense up of every attribute. So it's bad, but depending on what medals you have, it's all right if you really need to survive with defense boost maxes and stuff like that for a certain quest. But for the PvP side of this, guys, before we jump there, the one issue I have with this guy is that 24.09 is outdated, kind of, because a lot of 7-star tier 3s and 4s already catch up to him and also surpass him, and especially when we start going to like tier 6s, tier 7s, and tier 8s for 7 stars. But if some miraculous reason you guys have enough level 8 fairies to make him a 7-star, a 50.03 multiplier is no joke. That is a lot of damage, guys, and you are going to be able to like conquer a lot with this, even in PvP. That's not a big issue. It becomes an issue when you copy him. That becomes an issue. If you copy him in PvP, that's going to hurt you, especially if you use it on the first turn. But there's ways around that. So before I go into the PvP side of this medal, let's go quickly to comparison of other medals. Like I was saying, a multiplier of 24.09, like I showed you down here, that's his max multiplier fully gilted. So we're gonna look at medals that have him have the same multiplier as him. So of course I have examples here, but most of these medals are either gone, hard to get, or just not that close. So the main thing about the new medal is that you got to realize that this new medal basically can take care of himself. He's got no issue with his multiplier. His multiplier is 24.09. He just does that damage. Where these medals I'm about to show you, they have a requirement, or they're just not there anymore. So if you're a veteran player, or you know what, let's start with the obvious. If you got the new Prime Axel and you made him a 7-star, already he's better than the 6-star Sykes that we're about to get. But a lot of people didn't go for the full mercy pull of 15,000. A lot of people don't have the level 4 fairies to make their Prime Axel into a 7-star. But right here, this is an easier and stronger version than that Saix already. Even at the multiplier, it's 31.09 as you got, or sorry, 30.04. Fully gilted at 7-star without the 60% boost. So that already is 6 multiplier better than that Saix. So anyone that has Prime Axel 7 stars, you can kind of like, I guess, ignore this medal for now until they make level 8 fairies better. But remember, this is a limited time medal, so once it's here, it's not going to come back until maybe next year. So if you want to wait till next year for an outdated medal, by then definitely take your chances on skipping it. But if you want it and you think that the game's going to give us level 8 fairies, or somewhere down the line you might get level 8 fairies, you can make them into a very strong medal. But currently, he is not going to be better than any of the medals that you have. So another old medal for veteran players, Destroyed Behemoth, has no condition, just pure 29.12 as a random, single target. So the Saix that we are going to get is random. You can't see because it's zoomed in there, but this is single target, so you can dedicate it to one enemy, which turns out pretty good sometimes. But basically right there, guys, that is already better, 29.12. And then of course Saix B as a 7-star, if you're a veteran, has a multiplier of 28.54, but you need 10 gauges. So there is that requirement there, but even at its lowest multiplier, if you don't do its gauges, this at 9 gauges or less is still doing more damage than the new Saix as a 6-star. Now I know it's hard to compare 6-star to 7 stars, and the only reason I'm doing this is because nobody really has level 8 fairies to go and shoot it on this guy, especially because he's not the top. I'm going to show you guys that in a second. So comparing to him, 28.54 better. The Lexus B better, 25.14. Just has to be at the end of the Keyblade slot, like pet slot or slot 5, which that's where we're going to put our heavy hitters after all the buffers. And then of course you go into medals that you can pull, like Xemnas A. He does have to be used after all your medals are used, but we usually do that in PvP and PvE, and he's got a multiplier of 23.68. Now that's not stronger, but it is right there and it's easier to make a 7-star because it's only a tier 3. So everyone who's getting bronze tickets can make this Xemnas A into a 7-star. Same thing with the Rock Titan, 23.58, and he pretty much is always going to have that 23.58 unless you get hurt. So there's no cons here. He is single target, and he's doing 23.58, guys. And you can see around here, the same area, more pullable medals having 23.42, but inflicts some damage in exchange for HP, so there's a con there. And then so on and so on as we go down the line. We can pull these 23 multipliers very close to that 24 that the new Sykes is. So that's comparing it to tier 3s and 4s that are accessible to veterans and accessible to anyone that's polling right now. So there is pretty good chances just to have a stronger medal than him. But where does he stand in all of this? So being what he is, he stands above everything else except for what he's on par with. So we have Final Fantasy Record Keeper Terra here, Warrior of Light, what a lot of you guys don't have, but you do have, and then JP, Nick, and Judy. So you can see that Nick and Judy, Warrior of Light, and Terra, plus that VIP medals here have stronger multipliers than his 50.03. And remember, he debuffs you, and he basically has the buffs that every other medal has in the game right now, so it's not too exciting. He's got nothing else going exciting for him, where these guys right here raise counters, they have guild percentage up, even though there's other medals to replace that, but you can see that he only's got the strength up and no defense down, except for us, not the enemy. So if you do purchase the VIP and you have level 8 fairies, I actually would consider doing the Illustrated Invisible. The only thing about that is Illustrated Invisible is a reverse speed, where this new Saix is a reverse power, and we know that our reverse power setups are better than our reverse speed setups. But if you want to start working on your speed setups, you can. The only con here, again, is that it only does more damage with one enemy left, but that's pretty much what you want for single target medals. So I honestly thought he was going to be way better than what he is already. As you guys can see, he's not the next level. He is basically what we've had in the game, and a way for people who missed out on these medals right here, that don't buy VIP. This is the free-to-play slash VIP to play way of getting it. Well, not VIP because you have that there. So anyone who's free to play basically can pull 5 times and get this medal and have the strength if you can make level 8 fairies. So it's a nice way to see that that's there, because the other one was Lexius Plus over here. He's got a multiplier of 46, but that's a 4 difference in a multiplier. That's pretty huge. But again, these are tier 8, so if you were going to go for one, you would go for the new Saix. And like I said, that attribute defense down is not that big of a deal in PvE and PvE, so that's alright. But compared to everything else, guys, he is stronger than your Diz, your King Trident, your Jack, your Hercules, all those medals that you currently, even Scar, if we want to compare to reverse power for random attack, he is stronger than Scar. But Scar is a tier 7, so he probably would be made into a 7-star before a tier 8. So compared to what we have already, he's not super broken. I don't think he should be your first choice for level 8 fairies, but he is definitely not a bad choice because that multiplier is crazy good. Some of you guys don't spend money on the game, so that's the way to go. And that's pretty much it I can say for it. These guys only have a 50.0 multiplier because of that 30% guilt, so they're not as strong as what it's showing here, because he's got a 50.03 on his own because he is a tier 8. He has that 230% guilds, where they're getting the extra 30% from there. They're a little bit lower. They're like 45. So realistically, he is stronger than Warrior Light and Terra. And Nick and Judy is the one that has actually a stronger multiplier, 54 with that 30. So you can compare it like that between these three right here. This one, terrible, because you can't keep anything else on there besides the buffs that he applies. So no debuffs with that medal. So Invisible, Nick and Judy, and Saix. Basically, there's your reverse speed, your upright speed, and your reverse power. Basically what you want to choose. Which tier 8 do you guys want to make? Because that seems to be the kingpins right now. They are the top dogs. They're doing the most damage. It just depends what keyblade you guys want to put them on. Me personally, I think I'm going to wait it out. If I do get level 8 fairies, I don't think I'll be jumping the gun on anything just yet. Now, I know that it can be super powerful, but I don't know. It seems weird that this much damage has been around for so long, especially in JP. This damage has been there for so long. I'm wondering, with all the quests getting harder and everything, that these are not going to be the top dogs for very long. Maybe another month, I would say, but I don't see them not going past this multiplier, especially with how these tier medals, these 7 stars are catching up on damage. They got to start making the new tier 7s and 8s look good for us to pull for it, because right now we look at this new Saix and we're thinking to ourselves like, well, he's not better than a lot of tier 7 stars that we have. A lot of tier 3 and 4 7-star medals that we have are better than him, and it's impossible for us to get him a 7-star. So why would we pull 15,000 jewels when we can just save those 15,000 and wait till the next power creep comes out? So that's the issue that they're having, is that only top PvP players can actually make this medal into a 7-star and really benefit from it. Everyone else already has more power than that 24.09. So there's big issues with the balance in the game right now, and in them introducing medals like this. This is a kind of a disappointment, especially being a tier 8, because a lot of us can't do that. So for the PvP aspect though, having that 2 attribute defense down, if you use them on the first turn while you're attacking, right away the opponent's going to have an advantage of having their first couple of medals do more damage because of that, especially if you copy him, because their buffers will do a little bit more damage if they don't apply that much right away, or if they have an attacking medal in the beginning that doesn't apply that much down. But realistically, everything in the game has what that medal already has. Like if we go to lowering the enemy's defense down, you pretty much have all these medals going on. Everything pretty much does that. The new buffers, old buffers. You've got, well, not for every single one. Let's change that to the stained glass medals. So if we want to look at the stained glass medals, that does just power. So right away, if someone casts a stained glass medal in the beginning, they're gonna lower your attribute defense down anyways. So it's not that big of a deal, especially on the first turn and all that. You're totally fine with that in PvP. There's different ways you can go around about it, because my setup is that I go full attack on the first round, do as much damage as I can to win, and then on turn 2 I have a throwaway Keyblade anyways, and then on turn 3 I reapply all my buffs and debuffs that I have. I basically clean that up. And if you guys have the new Kyrie or Shion, you basically can fix that as well. Well, no, you can't because it doesn't raise the defense. So that debuff will stick on you unless you find a way to take it off. So if you don't have a way, if you're trying to turtle on turn 2 or something like that, it's not going to work out like it did before, and the enemy's first couple medals are going to do more damage. So even with the new Kyrie and the new Shion, there's no real way to get rid of that unless you use medals that wipe all these buffs and debuffs, or like I said, use your Zexians to start raising these up and also apply paralysis in PvP. But in all honesty, guys, like I just showed you, stained glass medals will lower the defense, attribute defense. A lot of medals, especially EX medals, have lowered the enemy's defense by 7 tiers, and a lot of future medals are going to have that. So it's not too big of an issue. There is going to be a little bit extra score on the enemy side, but not enough to say that I won't use that medal, especially with the multiplier 50 when it's a 7-star. As a 6-star though, I'm actually considering, and this is just my my playstyle that I'm going to go for, I'm actually going to pull for him, possibly, especially because he's limited, but because of this poison, having a medal that does pretty decent damage fully gilted and applies poison is going to be a great strategy for me, because now my second Keyblade doesn't have to be a throwaway Keyblade. I can actually make a proper second setup, have my buffer on the 3rd slot, and then have him on the pet slot of any Keyblade, because he takes care of himself fully. So all the medals in between, or your buffer, just has to lower general defense down, and I'm set. That's pretty much all I gotta do, and I gotta get that power defense down, which hopefully there's another medal, or the Keyblade that's my throwaway Keyblade is a power Keyblade. But you can realistically use this to activate the opponent's Esuna, and then on turn 3 I use my Zexian to paralyze them. So my second Keyblade doesn't have to be a throwaway Keyblade anymore. I can use some poison damage on there on turn 2. So that's very interesting to me. I think that's great, especially with the 100% proc rate. That poison carries over, I believe, to the next turn, unless because it's a max version it doesn't. I gotta do a little more research on that, but at least on on turn 2, even as an attacker, I don't have to do a throwaway Keyblade anymore. I have a possible strong damage dealer at 24.09 with some poison on it. That's pretty good to me. I think just pulling him, guilting him, not changing his attack, his skill just for PvP might not be a bad idea. Especially if you have the new Kairis and Xions, you can pretty much do a lot of damage. You can't erase that debuff you got, but you still can pretty much do a lot of damage on the enemy. So that's basically Saix coming out, everything I was thinking about him. I just wanted to share my thoughts on him, exactly what's going through. He's going to hit tonight on global version. There is a quest that goes along with it, so most likely now that I covered him, I'll probably just be covering the quest and that's it next setup, unless I made a mistake in this video or I want to add more during the update. You guys probably won't see another update video for this besides this one, but global's getting it tonight. Everyone in JP, good luck to you guys, because I know you're trying to deal with this right now. Good luck on your polls and your traits. I will be doing a metal spotlight on this video, but it's pretty straightforward what you want on him, especially if you don't care the attribute. Defense down, extra attack is pretty solid. You have those -60s for Coliseum, high tier, because we're all having issues with that once we go to like tier 17, or even the end of tier 16, we need -60 grounds and airs. And of course, +1000s also help a lot. That was English, I swear it was. So if you want to add anything to the comment section down below, let me know what you think of the medal. Did I screw up anything? Let me know down below. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll see you in the next one.